Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, my international friends, joining me as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news and all that sorts of good stuff. And yes, like Pakatani Phil, or whoever you say, he's come out to see if the world needs his wonder and shiny glory. Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett is here. Robert, how you doing?
John, you know what? If nothing else goes right in my life, your introductions of me just never cease to put a smile on my face. So thanks for that.
Well, since you put smiles on everybody else's faces, I figure it's only fair. Speaking of putting smiles on faces, we are joined here today by the wonderful Chris Carr. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing so great. I went and hung out with my friend Megan last night, and I watched Practical Magic to get into the spooky season. And I love that movie so much. Oh, man. I'm in such a good mood because of it.
It's always good to be in a good mood. And hey, listen, guys, if you're in a good mood, if you're one of our Patreon supporters, don't forget, guys, after this show today, about 15 minutes after we finish the show, we're going to be having a live John Campea Show post-show chat over in the Discord server for those of you who are Patreon supporters. So make sure you come on over and join us for the discussion after the show. All right, we got a whole bunch of things we're going to talk about here. Supernatural, Going Walker, Texas Ranger, kind of looks like it. We've got our new Commissioner Gordon. It looks like it's locked down for the new Batman film. We're going to talk about that and a whole bunch more. But before we get into our main topics, let's go off the top with this. It goes without saying, and you're going to have a very hard time finding anybody having any disagreement over the following statement. Tom Hanks is one of the greatest treasures Hollywood has given us. You're not going to find a lot of people that disagree with that statement. Obviously, not everybody will agree, but pretty much everybody will. Well, as my father would say, useless as tits on a bowl, the Golden Globes, which happens every year, completely useless thing, but they do a couple things really well. And one of the things that they consistently do pretty well is who they bestow their Cecil B. DeMille Award, which is basically a version of a Lifetime Achievement Award. They always do a terrific job with that. They really do. And this year is no exception, as it has been announced that Tom Hanks is going to be this year's recipient of the Cecil B. DeMille Award. Now, Tom Hanks has been nominated at the Academy Awards for Best Lead Actor 5 times. 5 times. And he's the only actor in the last 40 plus years to win Academy Awards back to back. He won it for, I believe, Philadelphia, and then he won it for Forrest Gump in back-to-back years. It's only happened once in 40 plus years, and he's the guy that did it. And now, of course, he's got his new Mr. Rogers movie coming out, which I am losing my mind over excitement for. I cannot wait to see this damn thing. But again, they get it right. They're giving this to a great performer. It's kind of surprising to think he doesn't have this already, but it's going to be something worth tuning in to watch just for this. Anyway, Robert, you hear about this. You like the selection of Tom Hanks for this year's recipient?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm a huge Tom Hanks fan. Who isn't? I mean, who isn't? And you know what I really liked about him too, not just as a great performer, but he used his clout to get things like Band of Brothers made. And specifically one of my favorite TV miniseries of all time, From the Earth to the Moon. And even though the recent HBO HD Blu-ray is abysmal and an affront to mankind, it still is one of my favorite things of all time. And I think that as somebody who's in the industry, he's a true star in every sense of the word. And he can't get enough recognition as far as I'm concerned.
He's just not only a great talent, one of the best guys.
Yeah.
In the business. Anyway, I mean, I could sit here and and everybody knows he's my wife's all-time #1 favorite human being. So there's that. Chris, your thoughts on Tom Hanks being the recipient this year of this award?
I mean, Anne has a lot of clout. I'm really glad she made this happen. I'm so proud of her. Of course, this is amazing. Tom Hanks is wonderful. Tom Hanks is America's sweetheart. I don't care what anyone says about Jennifer Lawrence or anyone else. Tom Hanks, all the way.
Yeah, it's a good choice, and I think it's going to be great. And this might actually make me watch the damn awards this year just for that.
It's just the best one. They have like Jameson on the tables.
Okay.
People get ridiculous.
Look, I say this every year, but I will say it again. The Golden Globes are a total farce. They're a total joke and completely useless. But give credit where it's due. they are the best awards show. As far as the show goes, they put on the best show. And you're right. Part of it has to do with the fact that they get everybody completely intoxicated.
Yeah.
They go for it. They put a lot into the show. As a matter of fact, look, as much as I love Billy Crystal and Steve Martin hosting and all that kind of stuff, when they would have Tina Fey and Amy Poehler hosting the Golden Globes, that is some of the best ever of all time award show hosting ever. They can host everything as far as I'm concerned. So they do put on a good show, and they do their Cecil B. DeMille Awards right. They really do. So I will give them credit where credit's due. Question is, guys, what do you think about the selection of Tom Hanks for this year's award? Jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's get one more thing off the top here. Now, we're going to talk about El Camino a little bit later in the show and the fact that nobody even knows that this movie's coming out. We'll talk about that in a bit. But along those lines, this morning, ironically, a brand new trailer for El Camino, and I think it looks like they're now calling it El Camino, a Twilight story. Sorry, El Camino, a Breaking Bad story. Seems to be what they're calling it, if I remember looking at the title card correctly. But at any rate, a brand new trailer for El Camino has come out. Rob, you saw it. I know you're very excited for this movie. What did you think about the trailer that we had a chance to just watch?
Well, this will be the third. I guess this is the first trailer. They've released two previous teasers, one with Skinny Pete and then one with Jesse Pinkman sitting in the car listening to his radio about the aftermath of the end of Breaking Bad. No, I like this. I mean, I like the tone of these trailers. Well, this one showed a lot more. And you really sort of get to see, I think, a man's reckoning with destiny. We saw what happened to Walter White. Now we're going to see what happened to Jesse Pinkman. I'm very intrigued. It told us nothing about the plot, nothing about the potential cameos that we might see. I'm hoping that an undead Gus Fring comes back and torments him.
He looked like a zombie in his final scene of Breaking Bad.
Yeah. Oh, and I one of the greatest, most shocking moments in television history that nobody talks about enough. I can't wait to see this. But again, John, this movie, I know it was made in secrecy and all that, but it's like, I see these trailers. It's like every other Netflix movie I see trailers for. I'm like, where did this movie come from? How do I not know about it before, like, the day before it drops? And it's so...
we'll get into that a little bit later in the show.
True,
we're going to get into that more specifically later.
I like this trailer because it didn't tell us anything, and it made me intrigued, and I love the fact that this movie exists.
Chris, you had a chance to watch this trailer this morning. What did you make of the El Camino trailer?
What did they show us? That was nothing. Nothing is happening. Nothing. Also, they missed a trick on the name. It should have been El Camino, a Breaking Bad mythology.
Oh, see, there you go. That right there markets itself.
I'll take my check, Netflix.
I am looking forward to this movie. I am. This is a terrible trailer. It's a terrible trailer. You know what? Would have been just as effective? That same music, which, by the way, that was some pretty eerie, intense music. I like the music choice in the trailer. I do. You could have just had a black screen with El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie, for 2 minutes with that same music playing, and it would have done the exact same thing. I mean, I get it. People are excited for the movie, so you put anything up about it. It's like, that's the best thing ever. But it's like, no, that's not a good trailer. We've now had like 3 spots, and we've heard the main protagonist of the film say one word. 3 spots, and the main protagonist, and that was just, yeah. That's it. That's it. That's not good trailer making. That's not good trailer making. Bob, my brother, I know sometimes you say you like, trailers that don't tell you anything.
Yeah.
Then why drop the trailer? What's the point? What was the point? Why not just put up a title card that says Breaking Bad and leave it at that?
Well, I think there is a lot in that trailer.
Was nothing. It was just him. The entire trailer was him going, oh.
There's guns. There's bombs about to go off. There's other people. He's on the run. I'm in.
Look, I'm in. Look, but you were in before they ever showed these trailers. And so was I, to be honest. I mean, I'm already in. But I'm just saying that these trailers they have put out have done nothing to get me more excited. Like, I'm excited just in principle.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad movie, El Camino, what happens to Jesse after the series finale. I'm in. But now trailers are supposed to hype that excitement, and these trailers aren't doing it for me.
I'll tell you one thing. I'm going to go see this in the theater because it's getting a limited theatrical release.
At 60-something theaters for 3 days.
I'm going.
For 3 days. It's funny, you weren't here the day we talked about that, but we thought about, because it's not like they're putting in theater first and then putting on Netflix, and it's like, I wonder, like, how many people are going to go to the theater? I'm wondering about that. Yeah. So I'm interested to find out that you're going to do that. But we wondered about that a little bit earlier. Guys, the question here is, what did you think about the El Camino trailer? Clearly, a lot of us are excited about it, but was this a good trailer? Rob says yes. I say no. Chris says no. What do you guys think about it? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. Before we get into our main topics today, just a quick reminder, some of the things that you can do for the show. First of all, go on over and click that subscribe button. Become a subscriber to the John Campea YouTube channel. If you like these types of discussions, make sure you go over and click the thumbs up button on the video. That helps the videos and the channel. And make sure, of course, guys, the most important thing is add your voice to the conversation. Make sure you leave a comment in the comment section below. Or if you want your comment read on air or a question read on air, go ahead and use the super chat feature. It's a great way to make sure that your comment or question gets read on video. Also, though, it's a great way to support the channel along the way, and we thank all of you guys who do that. All right, with that down, let's move into our main topics today. How do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? It's really rather simple. See, you guys come up with them by simply going over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you get there, fill out the form with your topic or question, hit submit, and guys, please, for the love of God, keep it to 90 words or less. I don't have time to read all your dissertations. Make sure you hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your topic or question featured right here on the John Campea Show. That said, Chris, what is our first main topic today?
So we're kicking things off with Harrison. Hey there, John and friends. I was just wondering if you had heard about the Walker, Texas Ranger reboot that's in development starring Jared Padalecki. Do you think rebooting the show is a good idea? And do you think Jared is too typecast after 15 seasons of Supernatural? Thanks, and keep up the amazing work. All right, Jared, good Texas kid. What do you think?
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised to hear about this, to be honest. I mean, first of all, everybody knows I love Supernatural. It's been consistently one of my favorite shows for a decade. I really enjoy this show. Now, about 7 years ago, they tried to branch out the boys. They tried to get Jared Padalecki and, what's the name of the other
Jensen
kid?
Ackles.
Jensen Ackles, who I love them both. They tried, Jensen Ackles had the lead in the film, was like My 3D Bloody Valentine or something like that. Jared was in a terrible Friday the 13th movie. Both of those movies did not do well, and all of a sudden, both of them stopped doing movies. But now we're getting to the end of Supernatural. Now, these guys are set for life. They are set for life. They're going to have residuals coming out on Supernatural. They basically, what did they say, Rob? You need a show to last 3 seasons to ensure you're going to probably getting residuals from replays on it and all that. This show is going to be like 14 or 15 seasons. They're set. But it's going to be interesting. But they're both still really young guys.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do after it? Well, now we know one of them. Now, this comes to us from the good folks over at Deadline. Supernatural star Jared Padalecki is set to headline and executive produce Walker, a reimagining of CBS's long-running 1990s action crime series Walker, Texas Ranger. The project, written and executive produced by Anna Freak from Valor, and executive produced by Dan Lin, Lethal Weapon, and Dan Spilo, Sunnyside, is being shot by CBS Studios. The CW, home of Padalecki's long-running series Supernatural, has emerged as a leading contender for the new show, with CBS also considered a possibility. Now, as far as a fit goes, first of all, do you bring back Walker, Texas Ranger, called Walker? Yeah. You got the lone hero. It's a crime fighter. He's a badass. If you got a little bit of mystery involved every week, this sounds like a nice little show to do. I think this is the type of show that's right. Is Jared the right type of guy to do it? I'll tell you what. I won't know for sure until we see the show, but I like the casting. I think that he's the big rugged kid. I think he's going to do well in this show. So yeah, I'll tell you what, I'm all for it. And it does make sense. You know, Jared's been a mainstay on CW forever. This seems like the right place to put it, because you put this show on CW, you're going to get a good chunk of transference audience coming over from Supernatural to see what he's doing on there. Now, look, there are some drawbacks to this. I'm not saying this thing can't go south really fast. Obviously, it can. But I think this is a nice move, and I'm intrigued by it. Rob, what do you think?
What's not to love? You know, I mean, there's been so much great crime thriller stuff going on TV. I mean, whether it's Ozark, which I didn't think I'd get into. I really liked it. I could see an updating of Walker, Texas Ranger, especially look what's going on with the border and drug cartels and environmentalists and people polluting, whatever. There's always something going on in Texas. You know what they say, John? Don't mess with Texas.
That's true.
Right.
I learned that 30 years ago, and it's still true today.
You learn it every week with me.
Everywhere, every week. And why not? I mean, everyone likes him. He's going to look great in a duster and a hat. I'm looking forward to it. Why not?
Yeah, I think it's a nice look. I think it's a nice addition. And by the way, though, this isn't going to be a blockbuster show. This isn't going to be the number one show on CBS. But I think this has the potential to be a nice 4 or 5 season show. This gets nice, decent, middling ratings, all that kind of stuff. Now it's going to be interesting to see if Jensen can get Ackles to see what he can pick up after this.
You know, if you did a show if you think something like Justified.
Right.
Or I think a movie like Wind River, which is not set. This wouldn't be in the snow, obviously, but there's the way that crime thriller shows have developed or movies have developed. I actually think this is a really good idea.
Yeah, I think it can work too. I think there's a lot of upside. We'll see what happens, guys. What do you think about all this? Do you like them doing a Walker show? Do you think he's the right guy for it? What do you think? Jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down out of the way, let's move on to our second main topic today. Chris, what is our second main topic today?
Second topic is from another good Texas kid. This is Alex. Hey, John, this is Alex from Dallas. About this time last year, Kevin Hart was announced to host the Oscars, but then dismissed. Then the show went hostless. My question is, what do you think are the chances of another hostless Oscars? Thanks and have a good day. Do you think we're getting a host this year?
You know, it's funny. Last year was such an odd thing. I mean, look, I don't want us to go into the whole thing again. The way that whole Kevin Smith thing went down, I think so many mistakes were made, but it is what it is. They made the decision then to go Oscarless. Now, for those of you who don't know, I love the Oscars. It is my second favorite day of the year, more than my birthday. Christmas is my favorite day of the year. Then there's the Oscars, then my birthday. That's how much I love the Oscars. I look forward to this day every year. And when the whole fiasco went off, and then they said they're just going to go hostless for the Oscars last year, I was one of the guys that said, this is a great idea. No, that's not true. I said it was a stupid idea. I said, this is a terrible idea. There's not going to be any consistent flow to the show. The host is the one that facilitates the flow of the show. And, having somebody to come back to, if the host is good, not James Franco and Anne Hathaway, but more along the lines of a Billy Crystal. It adds to the show. This is a terrible idea. But you know what? The Oscars were pretty good last year, and it worked fine without a host. I don't know that it was great without a host, but it did work perfectly fine without a host. If the Oscars are feeling a little gun shy after last year, they could be very much afraid right now of well, who do we ask? Because the moment we invite anybody to be the host of the Oscars, every 2-bit blogger on the planet is going to be digging through 20 years of Facebook, Twitter, newspaper articles to find anything disparaging to say about our host, and it's going to cast whatever. Maybe we're just better off to go without a host. To that point, the Emmys tried that this year. Now, I didn't watch the Emmys this year, so I can't speak directly to how well it worked or didn't work without a host. The Emmys decided to go, you know what, the Oscars did it without a host last year. We'll try it too. Now, I didn't watch it. I've heard some people complain about it and say it didn't have the right feel. The Emmys need a host more than the Oscars do, blah, blah, blah. And not, inconsequentially, it was the lowest rated Emmys, I think they said, of all time.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not that had anything to do with lack of a host or having it, by the way, the host isn't just great for the show itself. The host becomes your face promoting the event on television, whatever, as you're leading up to it. So there's that advantage as well. You know, Rob, I'm going to say something that if you'd asked me a year ago, a few months before the last Oscars, if you would have told me I would say this now, I would have said you're crazy. I don't think the Oscars need to have a host. I never would have said that before.
You're crazy, John.
I never would have said that before. I never would have said that. But I feel like after the way they handled it last year, I can say they don't need a host. That said, I still think you're better off with a host. I think, it would behoove them to get a good host on board. Don't get involved in any, because there's going to be, like I said, every 2-bit blogger out there is going to try to make a name for themselves and bring down whoever they ever get to host the Oscars. You got to ignore them, whatever happens, unless something like really major comes up. But I mean, you got to ignore them, get a host on board and go for it. But if they decide not to, not the end of the world. I think they can manage. I'm going to go out and say this. I'm going to guess that they will get a host this year. I'm not 100% convinced about it, but I think they will, and I think that's the right decision. But again, the sky won't fall if they don't. How do you feel about it?
Well, look, I kind of agree with what you said. I like an Oscar host. Oscar hosts make it fun. I like the opening numbers, and I like I go back, I've been watching a lot of old Oscar clips because they've released a lot of old, back into the 60s, and Bob Hope hosting the Oscars. And there's just, there's a pomp and circumstance to it that
Are you alive? Are you naked?
I missed. I breathed in wrong, and I think it's good. I mean, I like the star power. I mean, I think, there's something about our culture, this cancel culture and going after people. It sort of diminishes. Do we want generic Oscars and generic award shows? If you're going to go and watch a night where Hollywood's patting itself on the back, I want them to go all in. I don't want them to fear repercussions. It's so silly that we can't have hosts that no one's perfect. And why do we live in this world that an Oscar host is supposed to be beyond reproach? I want people to have the courage of their convictions and take us down a road where, damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. Hate those bloggers. Don't give them the power.
Chris, what do you think about this? Like, should they move forward? Should they get a host? Is it tragic if they do? Is it tragic if they don't? How do you feel about it?
I mean, last year was great not having somebody on there. But also, we had a couple stinkers in a row, We didn't have a Steve Martin doing things. We didn't have a Billy Crystal doing things. We had, like Franco and Hathaway doing it one year, why? What was that? I miss those opening numbers, though. I really, really do. I love the big spectacle of that. I do want Billy Crystal to come back and sing a song for everyone. I want Hugh Jackman to do like a Tony Award style opening because he crushes at that.
Yes, he does.
He really does.
That would be wonderful. Just bring in all the really good hosts and do a big musical montage.
And I think there's a lot of really cool people they could do it with. Again, I don't know what they're going to do this year, though. Like last year, I would have said, don't you dare do this without a host. But they did a pretty good job, and I stand corrected. So what do you guys think? Two different questions, though. Do you think they should get a host? Do you think they will get a host? Those are two different questions. Mm-hmm. Jump down to the comment section below, guys, and let us know what you think. All right. With that down and out of the way, let's move on now to our third main topic today. Chris, what is our third main topic today?
This is from Patrick Brown. A main conversation in the Hollywood industry is the downfall of Paramount, who since 2012 has placed large amounts among the studio. Even this year, they have failed to get a film to the $100 million mark at the domestic box office, something that smaller studios like Lionsgate and STX Entertainment have managed to achieve. So how much pressure is there for Gemini Man and Terminator Dark Fate to succeed, especially considering these films have to make a lot of money just to break even, much less turn a profit?
It is a big amount of pressure. As a matter of fact, there is, and it's something that people aren't talking about today. Last year, the conversation about Paramount came up and talked about, it's like, they're struggling a bit, but look, they're in trouble. And at the time, I was like, it's not that big of a deal. This is a company that's been around for a century. They have up years, they have down years. It's not a big deal. But as we stretch more and more and further into this rut, it's becoming more and more concerning, and more eyebrows have to be raised. If we just look at, say, the last 2 years, 2018, 2019, okay? Follow this. Annihilation made $43 million. Remember, we're talking worldwide numbers, or roughly worldwide numbers. Sherlock Gnome, around 80 or 90. Quiet Place did well for them. Quiet Place did well, made around $350 million, something like that. Book Club made south of $100 million. Action Point made around $5. Mission Impossible Fallout was a big hit. But then Nobody's Fool. Overlord, which should have been big. I liked Overlord. I thought that movie deserved better, made south of $50 million. Instant Family was a surprise little hit, good on them. Bumblebee, I mean, it was a very expensive film, but it ended up making money. What Men Want, Wonder Park, Pet Sematary, Crawl, which I liked very much, by the way. Dora and the Lost City. These are all films that maybe at best broke even, came close. That's not the type of track. Now, look, not every studio needs to be Disney where every film coming out makes $1 billion. You don't need to do that to be big and successful. You don't need that at all. But you need a better record than what Paramount has been cranking out the last 2 years. They need more than 2 hits. When you're putting out a dozen movies, you need more than 2 hits. That brings us back to the question then about how much pressure does this put on films like Gemini Man and Terminator, not just because they're their next 2 films up to bat, but these are expensive films. These are expensive movies that they've gone all in on. They're doing a lot with their marketing. They need, Rob, I don't think it's an understatement to say they need at least one of these things to be a hit. And I don't know if either of them will be at this point. How do you see this whole thing?
Well, you had Jim Giannopoulos come over and take over Paramount. So he's sort of still in the latter stages of his building the studio phase, building it back up. They lost a Chinese financing partner. They still have David Ellison at Skydance, who's been co-financing, whether it's the Star Trek movies, whether it's the Mission Impossible movies, and now Terminator Dark Fate. He's Larry Ellison's Oracle, Larry Ellison's son, who has a large amount of money, who's basically been propping up the studio single-handedly for the last couple of years. But I think Paramount's real problem is they have an identity crisis. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing. And I think you're absolutely right. I think Terminator Dark Fate is they need it to succeed. Gemini Man is an original film from an A-list, award-winning Hollywood filmmaker and Ong Lee, pushing the boundaries of technology. If it hits, it could hit in a big way for Paramount. And Paramount does have next year, John, Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that, Paramount, they used to be a powerhouse studio. They would release the Jack Ryan movies, whether it was Hunt for Red October and Patriot Games and Clear and Present Danger. They had like adult thrillers that they would make, and they really need to figure out what their sweet spot is. The Transformers movies are sort of in flux as far as and they don't own those 100%. Those are not just Paramount things. They need to come up with stuff that's theirs. Paramount needs to come up with things. I mean, even the Terminator franchise started somewhere else. It's not like Paramount's bringing back the Terminator franchise. That's a franchise that's been passed around since the mid '80s. So they really need to figure out who they are and what they're doing. But Dark Fate and Gemini Man are big. I want Paramount to succeed. I want these movies to hit worldwide, globally. And let's see Paramount get resurrected. And I think Jim Giannopoulos is a guy to do it. And I'd love to see Paramount in 5 years be a powerhouse studio like it used to be in the 80s and 90s.
They are one of the most iconic studios in the business. And what's funny is that, everybody always hates on certain studios. It's always cool at certain times to hate on a certain studio. A lot of people like to hate on Disney. Recently, people like to hate on Sony. People like to hate on Warner. No one's ever hated on Paramount. Paramount's just always like the nice guy over there. Like Paramount's just there. And look, I'm not saying that if Terminator and Gemini Man flop, then, within 3 months, we're going to hear about Paramount either shutting down or being up for sale, and Disney comes in. Well, Disney doesn't have the money to buy them right now, or being up for sale for somebody else. I'm not saying that necessarily, but everybody at Paramount is sweating if these 2 films don't hit. And I think at least one of them won't. I don't think Terminator is going to be a hit. And that puts even more weight on Gemini. But like you said, they've got a big tentpole film coming next year in Top Gun, which I'm thinking is going to be bigger than I thought it would be. Because I thought it was far too late for a Top Gun movie, so maybe that could pull them out. So I don't think game over, but they really do need these films to do at least well. They can't take 2 big flops in a row right now, can they?
No, and the Viacom merger is happening, so things like the Star Trek franchise the movies and the TV can be coordinated. I mean, it's too bad because I think the state of the Star Trek franchise is sort of, maybe Picard will be a hit, but if they could figure out a way to make Star Trek movies economically the way they used to, maybe they could do something with the Star Trek franchise. If they're going to do a new Beverly Hills Cop movie, I mean, who knows? But they've really got to come up with some new stuff, some good stuff that audiences of today are waiting for. Even Top Gun, I mean, dude, 33 years or 34 years since the first Top Gun movie?
Or start putting out a new Mission Impossible every year.
Yeah, I mean they're doing 7 and 8 concurrently. Smart move.
Yeah, it was. Very smart move. Question is, guys, what do you think about this? Do you think Paramount's in hot water? Do you think there is a lot of pressure on these two movies to do well? Or are you thinking, guys, you're overthinking this? This is a company that has stood for a century. They can take a couple more bumps. What do you think? Jump down in the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's move on to our fourth main topic today. Chris, what is our fourth main topic today?
This question is from Wolfpack Jason. Deadline is reporting that both Jonah Hill and Jeffrey Wright are in talks to join Matt Reeves as the Batman. Hill is a villain and Wright is Commissioner Gordon. I'm really excited about this movie. Reeves is putting together a cast of great actors, don't you think? Would love to hear your thoughts. How do you feel about this potential casting, you guys?
I will tell you what. Look, all due respect to Jonah Hill, who has turned from that fat, funny guy, and that's always the loser dude in a couple of little movie spots, to an Academy Award nominated actor. Mm-hmm. I believe twice. I believe he's got 2 Academy Award nominations. Wrap your heads around. He has developed himself into a very fine actor. But the name that gets me is Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Rush. That name would also get me.
He'd be a great Commissioner Gordon.
As Casanova Frankenstein in a Batman movie. There you know. Is Jeffrey Wright. That's the name that gets me. That's the name that gets the juices flowing for me. Because ever since, what was the damn name? Oh yeah, the movie he did, I don't think it's a great movie, but the movie he did with Jake Gyllenhaal back in 2011, 2010, 2012, somewhere around there, called Source Code. I just remember watching that movie, and I was enthralled every time Jeffrey Wright was on screen and speaking, because I'll tell you what, besides James Earl Jones, this guy's got the best voice in the business. He's just got that voice. I mean, it's just amazing. And you watch him, I don't even like Westworld, and I'll watch it just for him. He's just that good. Now, a lot of people will recognize him depending on the types of movies you watch. A lot of people will recognize him from the Hunger Games movies, of course. The guy has won a Golden Globe. He's won an Emmy. He's been nominated for 3 Emmys. The dude is awesome. And I'll tell you what, when I was reading the first time a notification came across, Batman to add Jeffrey Wright, and immediately in my head went, Gordon. It's got to be Gordon. Even before my eyes got to the words Commissioner Gordon, as soon as I saw Batman Jeffrey Wright, my brain immediately went to Jim Gordon, I should say. Because everything about Jeffrey Wright, to me, screams Commissioner Gordon. He is the perfect, and I don't like to say that often. Look, there are other actors who could have come in and played Jim Gordon, and I probably would have been just as happy. But it's a small group that Jeffrey Wright is a part of that I just think, oh my God, this is so perfect. Everything about the way he emotes and everything, to me, screams Jim Gordon. I am tremendously excited about this. I think this is just a tremendous fit. Now, I'll get back to Jeffrey here in a second. With Jonah Hill, the dude has just proved himself to be he's got dynamic range as an actor. He can be the funny goofball. He can play a more serious thing. By the way, there's that little movie he did with Miles Teller. Was it War Dogs?
Yeah.
I think it was War Dogs.
Yeah.
God, that was an underrated movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was a really underrated movie. I thought Miles Teller was fantastic in that, and I thought Jonah Hill was fantastic in that. Of course, Hill's got 2 Academy Award nominations. Some people are saying he's going to be Penguin. Some people are saying he's going to be Riddler. Deadline says we don't know who he's going to be at this point. But to me, again, he's one of those actors where all I care about is do you get a really talented actor involved. Jonah Hill's a very talented actor. As long as he's not playing Bane, I'm okay with whoever they slot him in as. Mm-hmm. Make him Riddler, make him a new character, make him Penguin, make him whoever you want him to be. I'm fine because the dude's a talented actor. Back to Jeffrey Wright for a second, though. This guy, I have already heard, I've had some people writing to me, again, complaining, and Jeffrey Wright is making the face that I make when I read these things. Immediately I started getting some emails from some people saying, why can't they stay faithful to the comic? Jim Gordon's a white dude. Why can't they stay faithful to the comic? And I'm like, okay, time out. Tell me anything about the character of Jim Gordon. If you know squat about the Jim Gordon character, tell me one thing about the Jim Gordon character that the tone of his skin is relevant to who he is as a character. Go for it. See, there's a reason Marvel, as a comic company, was able to seamlessly go from Nick Fury on the printed page being a white character to Nick Fury in the printed page being a black character, because they said at the time, there was nothing about Nick Fury that required him to be white or black, so we just had him white for a while, we had him black for a while. It didn't matter because the tone of his skin was completely inconsequential to who the character is. Now, a character like Black Panther, that's a little different. Him being a black dude is kind of essential for who the character is. And look, I'll tell you this. If in the comics that Jim Gordon, if in the comics, he just like Wolverine is known as the old knucklehead, right? That's a thing with him. If in the comic books, Jim Gordon, or as everybody better knows him as, Detective Whitey McWhite, if that was his nickname in the comic and he was just known throughout the comics as Detective Whitey McWhite, then yeah, it kind of becomes important that you cast a white dude to play him because he's become so identified with that iconic nickname. But what makes me laugh is how people cherry pick and pick and choose when it's important to be faithful to the comic and when it doesn't matter. Because if people were going to be consistent about that, it'd be like, well, in the comic book, you know, the guy's got dark brown hair and you cast a guy with black hair. Why can't you be faithful to the comic? Because it doesn't matter. In the comic, this character's supposed to be 55 years old. You cast somebody who's 51. Why aren't you being faithful to the material? Because it's something that doesn't matter. This character's eyes are blue. You cast somebody with brown eyes. Why can't you be faithful to the comic? Because that's something that doesn't matter. And with a character like Jim Gordon, the tone of his skin is completely irrelevant to the character. It's absolutely, unless you can point me to something in the comics that says, this is why it's essential for the Jim Gordon character to be white instead of Asian, Native North American, black, whatever. If you can point to me, but here's a little quick history scoop for you. Spoiler alert, you can't, because there's nothing about the character that requires him to be that color. Some characters do, most don't. Like Nick Fury, this is one of those characters where it doesn't matter. And all I can say is that when I read the words Batman and Jeffrey Wright, immediately my head went to Commissioner Gordon because he's perfect for it. He's perfect for it. I don't know. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance. You've heard about this. Number one, I am curious, which of the two names jumps out more to you, the Jonah Hill or the Jeffrey Wright, and how do you feel about their possible additions?
Well, first of all, you know, I really like Jeffrey Wright all the way when he played Basquiat. I mean, that was the first time I saw him. That was a long time ago. And of course, he's Felix Leiter in Daniel Craig Bond movies, and I love him as Felix Leiter. I've always really liked Jeffrey Wright. And as far as Commissioner Gordon goes, like, look, man, anything they can do to change up Batman movies and make them a little different, I'm all for that. I have really come to love Jonah Hill. You know, he directed his first movie. We saw his first movie, 16? Was that what it's called? The skateboarding?
Yeah, the skateboarding one.
Skateboarding one he did. He's become quite a talent. Moneyball. He was amazing in Moneyball. He was amazing in Wolf of Wall Street.
So good in that.
It's so funny. So he's really become sort of a chameleon. And if he's going to play Penguin or whatever, I'm like, fantastic. I think it's great, and why not? You know, Matt Reeves is a talented filmmaker. When we have talented auteurist filmmakers, I'm always giving them the benefit of the doubt because it's not like they think to themselves, you know what? I think I'm going to cast this actor that's really going to be bad in the role and no one's going to like them. And that's why I'm going to give him a job in a huge tentpole movie that Warner Brothers is expecting to do well. So let me cast somebody that's going to torpedo the entire enterprise. No, he knows what he's doing. They've thought a lot about this. This is not something somebody just tossed off. It wasn't like Jonah Hill's agent called up and said, hey, wouldn't you like to put Jonah Hill in the new Batman movie? I don't necessarily think the answer to that would be sure. I think it's because Matt Reeves had an idea, and he's going to execute on that idea, and we're all going to be better for it.
Yeah, now, I'm not trying to suggest that you can't be against a casting. No. Of course not. Like, look, I'm sitting here gushing about Jeffrey Wright, but that doesn't mean you have to. Maybe you've seen a lot of Jeffrey Wright, and you don't particularly think he's that talented of an actor. Maybe you've seen Jonah Hill. Maybe just, you know what? The dude just annoys me when I'm like, if that's the case, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, I have a hard time picturing, Rob, because you brought up the Jonah Hill situation. Like, if you had said to me, Jonah Hill Batman movie, it wouldn't have been the first thing that jumped out to me. But again, talented dude, multi-time Academy Award nominated actor. He's diversified himself a lot. If Matt Reeves wants him, because I think he's a talented dude, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Mm-hmm. And again, I love the Jeffrey Wright.
John, of course, the Batman film series, all the way back to Tim Burton's choice to play Batman in 1989's Batman. All of the Batman movies have been met with such approval when it comes to their casting choices. The fan community has been bang on every time they've been upset by somebody being cast in a Batman movie. Haven't they? I mean, the track record has been stunning. So good on those
Heath
fans.
Ledger being cast.
Yeah, everybody was behind that casting choice. And it's just amazing to me. And people love the idea that of course, Michael Keaton was going to play Batman. So as a man who's middle-aged with one foot in his grave, I'm really proud of the fan community whenever they come out against a casting choice in a Batman film, because it makes me proud to be part of such an insightful community that can really think outside of the box.
And just going to your point, guys, is that there is precedence, by the way, for having a black Jim Gordon. It was Lando. Right, you're going back to the original Batman. We've historically had a black Commissioner Gordon before.
Oh wait, no, he was Harvey Dent.
He was Harvey Dent.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I stand correct. You're right. He was Harvey Dent. Who was Gordon in that first one?
Wasn't Art Hingle?
I might have been. Yeah.
Maybe.
But anyway, the's still some precedent for this sort of thing in the right. But thank you for pointing that out about the Harvey Dent thing.
But okay, let me go back. Jeffrey Wright is playing Felix Leiter in the Bond films. Mm-hmm. In Never Say Never Again in 1983, Bernie Casey was a black Felix Leiter. And I don't think there was a huge outcry because there was no. But I did remember reading maybe a letter in Starlog magazine complaining that, wait a minute, shouldn't Felix Leiter be a white dude like David Hedison? No. And they changed the race of Felix Leiter, and look what happened. You have Jeffrey Wright playing Felix Leiter again in a number of the Daniel Craig Bond films, and now he's Commissioner Gordon. I say, bring it on.
Chris, what do you think about the just as far as Jonah Hill, Jeffrey Wright as actors, and do you see them being able to fit into like a movie like a Batman film?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Jeffrey Wright is an incredible talent, and I'm so excited for him to be in this. And as long as Jonah Hill's not Calendar Man, this is going to be fine. I mean, and you know who I really want him to be, though, is I want him to be the Grant Morrison villain, Professor Pig. I think that would be so good and different for him. And that is such a messed up character with him infusing doll parts on people. And I think it'd be really, really good.
Which they did an iteration of that in Gotham. Mm-hmm. They actually did an iteration. I'm forgetting who's the mannequin. Who's the character? I'm forgetting the actual name of the Batman villain. The dude who's got the puppet and the mannequin. Why am I freezing on that? I was just watching something with that character, and I'm why can't?
I'll look it up.
I was just reading Bane City, and it's like, why can't I remember the name? Anyway, that's another one that Jonah Hill.
The ventriloquist.
The ventriloquist. Thank you. What did I call him? The mannequin. The mannequin.
Yeah.
No, that's the old 1980s comedy. Anyway, I think this is great. Question is, guys, what do you think about the possibilities here? Do you like the actors? Do you not like the actors, which is totally fair? How do you think this is going to work out? Jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's move on to the fifth and final main topic today. Chris, what is the fifth and final main topic today?
Our last topic is coming from Johnny Williams. I am a big fan of Breaking Bad, and I'm looking forward to El Camino. But today I was talking to other fans at work who had no idea a new film was coming, let alone it was coming next month. With the tease with Skinny Pete, a montage of old clips for a music video, and now a tiny teaser from Emmys. Do you think Netflix needs to stop thinking they don't need to try as people loved Breaking Bad and market the movie better? Rob, we've talked so much about how Netflix just lets you know weeks after, basically, that they have a new movie. Do you think they're dropping the ball marketing here? Do you think people are excited enough about this?
I honestly, Chris, I am completely baffled by Netflix. And as the days go by, I just get more and more baffled. I have watched trailers for movies that I didn't even know were getting made by people that I respect. I just saw a Netflix trailer, it's been out for the last week, for a movie called In the Tall Grass, which is based on a Stephen King and his son Joe Hill. They wrote a novella together, and it was directed by a good Canadian kid, Vincent Natali, who made Cube. I'm a huge Vincent Natali fan. I'm a huge Stephen King fan. I had no idea this movie was going to get made. I had no idea Netflix was making it. Dropped a trailer. Looks intriguing. No idea. Saw another trailer for a really interesting movie called In the Shadow of the Moon. No idea. I had no idea where this movie came from. Looked really interesting. Another movie called I think it's called Fractured that just dropped. It's played at Fantastic Fest this weekend. No idea. Right up my alley. And the Breaking Bad movie, which, by the way, was during production, no one would admit it was even getting made. So now we have it. Breaking Bad, one of the most revered television shows of the last decade, celebrating 10 years, I think, this year. Everybody loves Breaking Bad. Obviously, Walter White, Jesse Pinkman, Gus Fring is back on Better Call Saul. I mean, it's a hugely important show as far as the television medium is concerned. Nobody knew it was coming out. We were talking earlier about this new show Netflix dropped called Criminal, another show that I'm quite enjoying. It's an anthology series, really well done. No one knows anything about what Netflix is making. I don't understand this. It is, and I keep up. I keep abreast with entertainment news. I want to know, and I have no clue from day to day whether something is going to be. And what's interesting, when I turn on Netflix, I did not find out about any of these things on Netflix. I watch trailers on YouTube and they pop up, and I'm like, oh, this is a Netflix movie. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is so weird to me that Netflix has all of this stuff coming down the pike that I want to watch. And I have no idea that it's coming until it's like upon us. Between Two Ferns, did you know it's live? I found out about it, 2 weeks ago?
Only because my buddy was over the other night. It's like, by the way, have you seen Between... I said, I didn't even know it was
the
on
Between
yet.
Two Ferns trailer drops 2 weeks ago. Now it's live? I mean, there's no anticipation. It's like Netflix doesn't even care. They're just making this stuff, going further into debt, watching their subscribers drop every month. Well, maybe it's because nobody even knows that Netflix is putting things out. I mean, a Stephen King movie In the Tall Grass, it's a great trailer that Vincent Natali directed. Somebody I follow his career, had no clue. Now there's a Breaking Bad movie. I'd think that would be sung from the mountaintops. Nope.
And pursuant to what the experience that the person who wrote in had, I have had no less than 3 different conversations with people over the past month or so that had no idea Breaking Bad movie was coming. None. Mm-hmm. No idea. And these are all people who love Breaking Bad. And my own wife, as a matter of fact. It came up the other day, we were talking about El Camino, and she was like, what's that? My wife loves Breaking Bad. She religiously watched that every single week. She had no idea that there was a Breaking Bad. Can you imagine if there was I don't know, I'm not going to say Batman, but let's say Green Lantern. Can you imagine if there was a Green Lantern movie coming out in 3 weeks and people didn't even know that it existed, that was coming? Can you imagine if a new Star Wars movie was coming out and 2 weeks before it's going to launch, nobody even knew that such a thing existed? You have one of the most iconic television shows of all time in Breaking Bad. One of the most iconic of all time. And you've got a movie that takes place immediately after the series finale a couple of years ago, and you don't let anybody know it's coming? You like, there are still, even with the dropping of this trailer, I guarantee you there are people watching this show right now that us talking about this today is the first they've heard of it. I'm not saying everybody. I'm not even saying the majority. But I guarantee you there are some people watching the show today. They're like, wait a minute, what? There's a Breaking Bad movie? There's a Breaking Bad movie? Really? I just can't understand how Netflix, which has done such a good job of acquiring good content and producing good content, they've also done a bunch of crap, yes, but they've also done some really good content, some exceptional content. Some of our pop culture's favorite content right now have done such a terrible job. And we complain about this all the time. But when it comes to something like this, Breaking Bad coming out, it just highlighted all the more. Such an awful, terrible job of having what could be a monumental event of a movie, and it's completely flying under people's radars. They do not know about it. Now, look, Rob, I don't know if this stems from that they're just terrible at this, or if they just don't understand that, you know what, we need to make marketing our content and raising awareness of our content a priority. I don't know if they have no budget for their PR department. I don't know if they give them any money to try to go out there and promote and push this material, or if they are and they're just doing a piss poor job of it. But again, I liken it unto, Rob, that whole idea. Can you imagine if there was a Green Lantern movie or a new Star Wars movie or a new James Bond movie and nobody heard about it? This is a follow-up movie to one of the most iconic shows of all time. How is this happening?
Well, dude, I have to tell you, like this new series Criminal, which I did see a trailer for it. Criminal is basically, it's a police procedural. It's 12 episodes. It's all shot on the same set, which is 2 rooms and a hallway,
Very
basically.
creative.
And yet, it takes place in 4 different countries, and it's really innovative and really interesting. The show that we talked about yesterday, and I was telling you about, Unbelievable, with Toni Collette. You know, again, an 8-episode procedural, an amazing show. These shows are good.
That I never even would have heard of if one of our viewers didn't bring it up the other day. I never even would have heard of this show.
I mean, I'm looking at this stuff and I'm thinking to myself, we've known The Mandalorian. People are anticipating The Mandalorian coming from Disney Plus, which is a streaming series or streaming platform that doesn't even exist yet. And people are talking about a show that's on it.
More people are talking about their Lady and the Tramp reboot than they are talking about El Camino right now.
The Jeff Goldblum series that they're putting out. And I'm like, Netflix is putting out things that I'm really interested in and excited about, and nobody knows. It's baffling to me. Why aren't you fomenting? Why aren't people frothing at the mouth about what Netflix is doing? All these new subscribers. How much money are they leaving on the table by not promoting any of their content to the point where there's no zeitgeist footprint that it's leaving? It's really weird.
It's odd, and I don't know what is causing it. Again, I don't know if they're just bad at this or if they're not making it a priority or what the case is, but they are producing some great content that is flying completely under the radar because nobody even knows it's there. Whereas Disney is like even some of their stupid looking stuff, they're like putting their full weight behind, they're raising awareness. Hell, you got Apple Plus TV. I was watching football all weekend, and every commercial break, Apple Plus TV, this new show, this is coming. I mean, I know more about this Jennifer Aniston new show,
The Morning Show
Reese Witherspoon.
Reese Witherspoon. I was going to say Renee Zellweger. It's like, no, that's
Steve
not really.
Carell.
And Steve Carell. I know more about that I don't care about. I don't care about that show. I know more about C, which looks terrible.
It really does.
I know more about everything coming out on Apple TV. I know everything more about what's coming out on Disney Plus. And these things, I love that you brought this up, Rob. These things don't even exist yet. And I've got Netflix, and I got all these things, and I don't even know they exist. Mm-hmm. I don't even know they exist.
Well, it's like, how did the Between Two Ferns thing? I mean, this has been how is there not op-ed pieces about this crazy internet funny, goofy thing that has been turned into a feature film, and we started hearing about it 2 weeks ago. There's no buildup. There's no anticipation for it. I mean, even the story about turning Between Two Ferns into a movie should be out there in the ether. Like, how did this happen? How did Zach Galifianakis get to do this? How did they get Matthew McConaughey to be in it? I mean,
by the way, there's a lot.
Weed.
There's a lot more people than that in it.
A lot more people in it. And how do we not know these things? I mean, it's so weird.
And by the way, have you watched it yet, the Between Two Ferns thing?
No, I just saw that it was live last night.
I'll tell you what, it's not as I was afraid of, that all the stuff when he's actually doing Between Two Ferns interviews is gold. All the stuff outside of it is pretty shaky. But I'm going to give one thing away. And if you don't want to know, this is during the credits. They do some of the bloopers and outtakes during the credits. Make sure you watch the bloopers and outtakes during the credits, because it is the funniest stuff. It's all stuff they didn't put in the movie, and it's the funniest stuff in the movie. But there's this one point where he's sitting down. In the movie, he does an interview with John Legend, right? And it was very, very funny in the movie, but then as the credits are rolling, they're showing the bloopers. They show a bit that they did not put in the movie, where Zach Galifianakis says, "So, Mr. Legend, you were in La La Land." Yes, I was. He goes, "How important was La La Land as a breakthrough in helping white people explain jazz to black people?" And neither of them could hold it in, because as soon as Galifianakis said it, he started falling out of his chair. John Legend started falling out of his chair. But I'm telling you, it's not just that one. There's a ton of stuff in the post credits. If you watch Between Two Ferns, stick around for the post credits. Anyway, I went off on a total rabbit hunt there, guys. Listen, important thing here is to you. Have you had conversation with, do you know people that have no idea that there's even a Breaking Bad movie coming? This thing comes out in 2 weeks. Have you had that same experience? Or maybe you've had the opposite experience. Maybe it's like, nah, man, everybody I know is fully aware that this thing's coming. What's your experience been like? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down and out of the way, guys, I want to go over and let you guys know about one thing. I meant to mention this earlier, but we have a question of the day today. I just wanted to put it to you guys and ask you guys the question of the day today, which revolves around this reported Batman casting people being talks. And the question I simply asked you guys was this: do you like the idea of Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon? I put this up just before the show started. Right now, about 1,200 of you guys have responded to it. And I'm surprised. Overwhelmingly, you guys are saying, 86% of you saying, yes, he's great. 14% of you right now are saying, no, you don't like the casting yourselves. I'm going to leave this up there on my Twitter for the rest of the day. So go on over and cast your vote for that as well. Okay, guys, before we go into our live questions today, we're going to take a little bit of a break here, stretch our legs, rest the vocal cords, refill our drinks, stuff like that. So if you'll hang tight with us, guys, we'll be back in just 3.5 minutes. We'll see you in just a couple of minutes. And we are back. Thank you guys for your indulgence as we took a little bit of a break there. Chris Carr has stepped out. She's got some things she needed to run and do, so she's gone. But Rob and I are still here to take your guys' live questions. So let's not waste any time and get to those live questions. We're going to start off the live questions here with where are we at? We are at Karam Majub, who writes, famous / beloved films that I really do not like. Blade Runner. Me too, buddy. Raiders of the Lost Ark, Superman 1 and 2, Wall Street, The Dead Poets Society. It is a great example, Karam, about how all film is subjective. Because like a lot of those are beloved, like you said, they're beloved, famous films and famous for being beloved and all things, but not every movie is for everybody. I can identify with you on the Blade Runner thing. Something that gives Rob a nervous twitch whenever I mention that I'm not a big, but I mean, look, and I love the other movies, but not every movie is for everybody. What's important is that what works for you, and that's a great example of that. All right, Jack Leo writes, I was a fan of Looper and The Last Jedi and was pretty disappointed by Knives Out. It didn't feel like it ever reached its full potential. Glad others are enjoying it. Rob, this is one of the most acclaimed movies that is being talked about right now is Knives Out. Of course, the critics score is super huge, getting big responses coming out of the things, but not for everybody. Now, it's funny, though, to hear from Jack, Rob, because I would assume if somebody didn't like it, that maybe they didn't maybe like The Last Jedi or whatever, but this is somebody who actually liked Looper and The Last Jedi and didn't like Knives Out. Where's your expectation right now for Knives Out?
Well, I mean, it looks really good. The only thing that I could see that it looks, I guess the word would be mannered. You know, it looks a little sort of very theatrical. And I don't know, I think if it's that way, I don't know if I'll respond to it as well as I want to respond to it. But who knows? I mean, it's hard to say. I haven't seen it. I've only seen the trailer, so I can't make an assessment about it one way or another.
I think your mic, did your mic get switched off or something?
Not that I know of. I didn't touch it.
Try that.
How about, is that okay?
Oh, yes, now it is. Yes, sorry. Yeah, you're out for a minute. You're on. You're good.
Oh. So what I was saying is, I think the movie looks like it could be a little mannered for me. I don't know if it is, but I haven't seen it. I've only seen the trailer. And when I say mannered, a little theatrical. And I'm hoping that the film is wonderful. It looks wonderful to me, but I other than the trailer, I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. We still haven't seen it, but I think it looks great. Okay. Ben Elman writes, gonna go to Star Trek Disco and Picard panel at New York Comic-Con. Can't wait to see the cast in person. So excited for Picard, as Next Gen is my favorite Star Trek, is my favorite of the Star Trek shows. I mean, listen, if I was going to New York City Comic Con, I think that would probably be my number one draw, would be this Picard show. I'm dying for this thing. Where's your expectation at right now for this?
Well, I have to say the Star Trek Picard show is probably the most exciting thing to come down the Star Trek pike, so to speak, in a long time.
Pike.
and I'm really excited about it. I think that there's not a Star Trek concept that has more goodwill. I can't imagine one, even more so than Star Trek 09. I really, really hope it's great. I really hope it's great.
Fingers crossed. All right, Nick Unger writes, over under 2% Boba Fett shows up in The Mandalorian. You know, it's funny because 2% low. I'm going to go even under 2. I'm going to take, I really don't think they're planning on having, I think I've heard Jon Favreau actually say you're not going to see him pop up in there. But Rob, would you go, 2 is already a really low number. Would you go over under 2% that we see Boba Fett?
In the first season?
Yeah.
Under 2.
Under 2. All right. Ben Elman writes, also, we'll be meeting Michelle Nichols, Billy D. Williams, and Wong. It's going to be an insanely amazing day. I can't wait. Have you ever been to New York City Comic Con? I have never been to New York City Comic Con. And each of the last couple of years, it's funny because I keep getting emails from New York City Comic Con asking me if I want to go and do a panel there. But it's an expensive endeavor to get a hotel in New York City, fly to New York City, be away from home and the studio, and eat and feed myself and everything else that goes on. So I have never gone. I've always been curious about going, but I've never actually gone. Have you ever been to NYCC?
No, I was going to go 2 years ago with Schnepp, but I couldn't go, and I'd love to go.
Yeah, I'd like to, because it's growing. It's growing. I would love to check it out sometime. All right. Min Tran writes, who are you talking to? Grant Morris fans, Reddit trolls with DC subscriptions, and the 3 fans who stuck around after the donkey. Oh, that's Mr. Nobody Toniles. Guys, listen, because Min put that in the other day, and we said, Min, I have no idea what you're talking about. Important rule. If you're going to quote a movie or TV show, put quotes on it. Or otherwise, I'm reading that and I have no idea.
Right.
Like, are you quoting something? Are you making a point? So that's very, very vital. If you're going to quote a movie or quote a TV show, put quotes around it so I at least know the context of what you're saying. And yeah, I didn't recognize that, but that is totally a Mr. Nobody line from Doom Patrol. By the way, guys, if you have not watched Doom Patrol yet, watch Doom Patrol. It is my favorite thing, anything related to DC on probably ever on television. Certainly, yeah, I like Doom Patrol more than I liked Arrow in its best day, more than I like Flash in its best day. I think it's my favorite thing they've ever done on television. I didn't even know if you've had a chance to catch up on Doom Patrol yet, Rob.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. It's amazing.
I love that show so much.
And, I'm surprised at how much they actually retained from Morrison's run, on the comics. And I was actually surprised it's how irreverent it is. I mean, it doesn't get up to like The Boys, but it's pretty. I really liked it.
Oh, it's great.
Doom Patrol,
I love
Umbrella Academy, and The Boys.
Yeah,
I mean, amazing.
Three of the best right now. All right, Mad306 writes, or 1306 writes, if Jeffrey Wright is Commissioner Gordon, does this mean the Batman trilogy is outside the DCEU since J.K. Simmons was Gordon previously? You know what? I'm glad you brought that up, Mad, because we should have brought that up in the main topic. But that is a question that a lot of people have been asking, because really, with the Robert Pattinson casting, we can be left to still wonder, are they still saying this is the same Batman, just recast? Is this inside? With the casting of Jeffrey Wright as Gordon, another completely, it's a completely different character now. Does this seal it, Rob? Does this essentially say this Batman is outside of the DCEU, or is Warner Brothers taking a big old cloth soaked with Windex and just wiping the whole thing clean, saying, oh, no, this is still in the DCEU. It's just that now this is Batman and this is his immediate circle. What do you think they're doing there, Rob?
I think it's a standalone thing.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be looked upon like the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. It is going to be, if it's going to be a trilogy like the Nolan Batman films, it's going to be its own thing. And I think great. I love that. I think that's, why not do that? Certainly they've done that in the comics. There's been so many different Batman stories outside of continuity, Elseworld stories. I think this is fantastic they're doing this. And they're not, they're unfettered by any baggage people want to bring into it. So I think it's great.
Here's a question for you. Do you think they're going to go the Nolan route, because you mentioned that, but do you think they'll go so far as to say, like, in Nolan's films, Batman is unique in his universe. There is no Superman flying around. There is no Wonder Woman. There is no Cyborg. There is none of that. There's no superheroes. There's no supernatural. It is just him. There's Batman. Do you think he's going to become kind of an isolationist Batman like Christopher Nolan films were? Or do you think even in this universe there'll be other DC heroes?
No, I think they should absolutely, make him an isolationist, the way you put it, an isolationist Batman, because who cares about anybody else? If you're going to tell Batman stories, tell a Batman story. That's what I really liked about. Can you imagine? The Dark Knight Rises, which I admire and like more and more as the years go by. If Superman showed up, there'd be no story. Bane would take over Gotham City. Superman would fly across the bay, take care of business, and that would be the end of it. So I think it's great that there's no. Well, then again, I don't know. Maybe there are.
Yeah.
The only weird people in the Batman movie should be his villains, his rogues gallery, and that's it.
All right, we'll see what they're going to do. That's a great question, though, dude. All right, Aaron Kin writes, I'm a huge Darth Vader fan, but if Palpatine is still alive because Vader somehow failed to kill him, this may be his biggest L yet. He's stacked up quite a few L's during his 9-film run. Also, I find the 3 John Wick films easier and more entertaining to watch than the Nolan Batman trilogy. Well, let's go to the first thing here. See, some people try to say, well, wait a minute. If Palpatine's still alive, then that undoes everything that happened in Return of the Jedi. To which my point has always been, no, it doesn't. He brought balance to the Force. Anakin brought balance. He destroyed the Emperor. How completely is up for question, but still, he got rid of the Emperor, the Empire fell, and justice was restored in the galaxy. But just like every movie and every story, that doesn't mean nothing else happens now from now to the rest of eternity. New threats will rise, or maybe old threats will re-arise. But the point is, he did bring balance back to the galaxy, and they had decades of peace and justice in the galaxy because of what Vader did. Decades of peace and justice throughout the galaxy. So whether Palpatine is still there or not, it does not undo what Vader did in that. Because if Vader didn't do, you can't call it an L. If Vader didn't do that, then the rebellion gets destroyed. Palpatine's got his second Death Star. He firms up his grip around the galaxy, and the galaxy is thrust into darkness for decades longer. So no, you can't count that. That's a huge win for Anakin Skywalker. I see it that way at any rate. Rob, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me. He was defeated. You know, the Empire was brought down, apparently. Although where the First Order came from and all that remains to be, I don't know. But I mean, you know, it's like villains get defeated. Sometimes they come back. If he comes back, I'm interested to see how that works. But it doesn't change the fact that Return of the Jedi was about a win. It was about a win.
Yeah, I agree.
You know?
I agree. All right, next up here, we've got Christopher Chow, who writes, one of two. Hi, John, Rob, Chris, and Aaron. Been a huge fan of the show ever since my wife and I had our first child 5 weeks ago. Well, congratulations, Christopher. That's awesome. We've been following the show every day since. I just signed up to be a Patreon member. Thank you so much, dude. I mean, first of all, again, you had your first kid. That's amazing. You've been watching us for 5 weeks. That's great. I keep up the great work and continue spreading joy to all your fans. I know you say it's based on the movie Community, but you guys make it extra special. Well, seriously, Christopher, thank you so much, man. That is awesome to hear.
John, you know why he's been catching up with us?
Because he's not getting any sleep.
He's not getting any sleep.
He ain't sleeping. That's for damn sure. It's funny. I've got a friend that they've got a kid as one of the friends who plays the Star Wars role playing game with us. And he was just talking about that the other night. Sleep is not one of the things that is in plentiful supply. So if that's the case, Christopher, if that's the case, we are more than happy to be there with you through those long nights as you rock your kid to sleep, man. And again, thank you for being here and being a part of it. Thank you for becoming a Patreon supporter, dude. And congratulations on having the kid. And you're raising them right, letting them fall asleep to the John Campea Show, my friend. You certainly are. And again, thanks for sending that in, Christopher, man. That put a smile on my face. All right. Andres Moran writes, one of two. Hello, John. As always, love what you do, and that includes your rants. Well, thank you so much. Your passionate, unfiltered opinion is what made me a faithful viewer. With all due respect, if someone shows a 5-year-old your show, he should know better, like you wouldn't take him to an R-rated film if it's on the parent, not you. Well, you know what? Here's the thing, Andres. While I appreciate the support, I disagree. And here, for those of you who don't know what Andres is talking about, so like the other day, the topic about how Regal and Cinemark are going to be introducing even more commercials into their pre-movie show that's going to stretch that out even longer. That doesn't sit well with me. And I went off on a bit of an angry tirade because the movie-going experience is important to me, and other people enjoying the movie-going experience is important to me. And I don't like seeing movie theaters undermining the movie-going experience. And I went off on a pretty long rant, which may have had a little bit of profanity in it. And here's the thing. My show is not meant to be an R-rated show. The John Campea Show is not meant to be an R-rated show. Now, that being said, Rob, you know, I've always said I don't have a rule that I don't swear. I don't have a rule that nobody else can swear on the show, not at all. But like the movie fan community itself, my show is meant to be for everybody. Again, that doesn't mean I'll never swear, but I want to at least be aware and cognizant of the fact that there are a lot of different types of people that watch this show, Rob. I mean, we got high school students watch our show. We've got college students watch our show. We've got young professionals watching our show. We've got parents watching our show. We got grandparents watching our show. We've got like everybody, which is great representation of the movie fan community. It's all of us. So many people. But a part of that is that I've gotten many emails over the years usually in a very, hey, kind of happy sort of way, letting me know that I watch your show with my kid. You know, I watch your show with my 7-year-old kid or my 10-year-old kid or my 5-year-old kid. They love watching your show. They know your music and everything. And it's when that happens and I get reminded about that, I do think about when my extra profanity-laden rants happen, and I become a little bit aware of that afterwards. And I'm not saying I should never swear, but I need to do a better job respecting that there are viewers of this show that do watch, and I'm grateful for this, that will watch this show with their children. And again, that doesn't put an onus on me to never say anything that isn't G-rated. I'm not saying that, but be aware so as I don't go over the top, because you guys respect me by tuning and watching the show and watching me and Rob and Chris and Aaron. You guys give us that respect by being here and being a part of the community. I need to do a better job of being more aware to show that respect back to as well. That doesn't mean I'm never going to get angry. That doesn't mean I'm never going to swear or anything like that. But in the midst of that, I need to be aware that, hey, you know what? One of my faithful viewers is watching this, who watches this every day with their 7-year-old kid. And it's up to them if they want their kid to hear the odd maybe F-bomb get dropped. But to me, go, F and F, you son of a blah, whore, mother, blah, blah, in the ass, blah, blah. Like, I should probably be a little bit more aware of that. And that's, you know, we all got areas to improve. I think that's an area I can improve on. But I don't know, Rob, do you have any insight, commentary on that? What do you think?
Well, hey, here's the thing. I don't think that you and I, even on my show, I don't swear a lot. I mean, I swear occasionally, but it's not like, I think we sort of swear for entertainment purposes, if that makes any sense. Like, you're not angrily going off on some profanity-laced tirade against things most of the time. And I think we don't swear a lot on these shows, and I don't think it's, when we do, it's for entertainment value in a way. And I'm not a fan of censorship of any kind, and I'm aware that people need to use language, but I think our language is PG. Maybe it'll dip into the R rating now and again, but I think for the most part, the show to
be PG-13. I want the show to be PG-13.
Yes, yeah. Because I mean the world is R rated. You know, and I understand, but this is not necessarily, we're not saying that we're family entertainment. I mean, I think we're directing the show toward an adult sensibility. And I've had people, look, I have viewers on my show that have written me about, that have deeply held religious beliefs, and they appreciate that I've tried to be inclusive, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to say a bad word now and again, because frankly, John, we don't know what we're going to say. This is an unscripted show.
Yeah, we don't script the show out.
You know, you're talking for 2 hours a day. And usually you do shows 7 days a week, as I do for the most part. And there's a lot of words that we use. And sometimes,
there are a lot of words.
Sometimes you just got to, for humorous effect, or as a punchline to a joke or something. I mean, I think of all the talking we do, we don't use profanity that much.
No, it's very rare. So again, it's just something I want to be aware of. So Andres Moran, I do appreciate the supportive message. I really do, but go fuck yourself. PG-13 is allowed one F-bomb.
But that was used in a sexual context, so that's an R rating, John.
There you go. All right. Kevin Lewis writes, number of Ringworld books Robert Meyer Burnett has read: 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. I don't know the series, but I know Rob is a bookophile. I'm going to go 4.
No.
Oh.
I've only read 1.
Okay.
And the Ringworld series is by Larry Niven. And I've read a lot of Larry Niven books. I went on a Larry Niven kick starting in the 6th grade when I read Lucifer's Hammer that he wrote with Jerry Pournelle. But I have only read 1 Ringworld book, which I got from the Science Fiction Book Club, I think in junior high. It's part of his whole Known Space series. And for those of you who don't know, Ringworld, it's literally a ring, a constructed ring that was built around a star. It's really, really cool.
Sounds kind of like Halo in a way.
Halo is totally part of, I mean, if you would have read Ringworld, that's where they got it from. And I think it's part of the Known Space series. I think it's what it's called. But I only read the first Ringworld book.
All right. Next up, Nosferatu writes, what would make you rage quit the most? Darth Sidious not really being in Episode 9 or time travel being introduced into Star Wars Episode 9? No, here's the thing. If they do either of those things, first of all, oh my God, if you don't have Palpatine in this thing now with all of this crap you've been doing, holy crap. But as in anything else, I will let them finish what it is they're doing. Like if Palpatine's not in it, I'm not instantly going to rage quit. I'm going to see, okay, where are you going with this? Then I will let it play out. If I go into the movie and in Episode 9 and 15 minutes into the movie, they go, we've got to go back in time and stop Palpatine from doing this just before Return of the Jedi. I'm not going to get up and stomp out of the theater. I'm going to go, okay, I'm not happy about this, but I'm going to let you play this out. I want to see where you're going with this. But, oh my God, they will have to do something incredibly profound to justify to me either one of those things. But again, Rob, I will let them play it out and see, again, where it is they're going with that. So, but if they just don't have Palpatine in it at all and don't even mention it and don't even and then I would probably rage quit. Do you got anything in your head that would just make you like right up and rage quit, walk out?
I would never walk out of a Star Wars movie, but time travel doesn't belong in the Star Wars universe. I think it would diminish the universe as a whole, and it would really bother me if they introduced this literally at the 11th hour.
They've started to introduce it in Rebels, which I was not happy about. They didn't go all in on it, but it was just this world in between worlds that they can find. Anyway, I'm not going to go into it.
Boo.
Yeah, boo indeed. Boo on that. All right, Kevin Lewis writes, over under 60%, Robert Meyer Burnett has a DVD of Heavy Metal, the movie 1981. Oh, I'll go all in on that. Yeah, you have that, yes?
You are correct, sir.
Yeah, no doubt.
I try and collect every significant genre film for whatever reason, and Heavy Metal is definitely a significant genre film. By the way, basically produced by Canadians.
There you go. Casinema Reviews writes, this might sound strange, but when I saw the reports about Wright as Gordon, I thought, yeah, he kind of has a Gordon-type look to him. Great pick in my opinion. That's exactly where I was at, Casinema. I swear to, because I read the first report as it came in. All right, Batman to add Jeffrey Wright, and instantly my head went to Gordon. With that voice, that gruffness about him, that war-weary, weathered kind of feel that he can project so well. It's like this guy was born to play Jim Gordon. I'm completely on board. And Rob, I know you like the casting too.
I do too. I'm totally on board. I mean, look at the way he's always so nattily dressed in Westworld. I mean, he's one step away from Commissioner Gordon already.
It's almost there. All right. Min Tran writes, do you think they will include any Gotham or DC universe, Titans and Doom Patrol, in the Crisis crossover? No, I really don't. Look, they're crossing over everything that CW's got under its roof, but I can't see them. And by the way, like the Brandon Routh Superman, I don't think he is the Brandon Routh Superman from Superman Returns, just to be clear. I think them just having him don the suit is fan service, which is great. Sometimes fan service is a good thing. But I don't see... I cannot see them incorporating that or being allowed to incorporate any of that. Not stuff from the movies, not stuff from other networks. I don't think they're going to do that. So I'm going to go almost zero on that. Rob, do you see a possibility that they could?
You know what? I don't know. I think all bets are off on this thing. You know, finding out Erica Durant and Tom Welling are going to be in the... I know. I heard some stuff from people that I know that work on the show at high levels, what they were trying to do at the outset, and I'm like, there's no way. A lot of it has come to pass, so I think there's things that we don't even know about that might happen.
I still think Michael Rosenbaum's going to end up being announced as well as coming back as Lex Luthor. I don't know that, obviously. I'm just guessing. All right, Andres Moran writes, top 10 films, Brother Bear, Shape of Water, all the Toy Stories, P.S. I Love You. That is a great movie. I'm glad you included that. That's a fabulous movie. The Mask, the 4 Avengers films, Apocalypto, a beautifully, marvelously directed film by Mel Gibson. Why to Mama Tabien, which is Aaron loves that movie, by the way. Aaron and I were just talking about that movie the other day. Lion King and 300. I don't think anybody's put 300 on the list so far. I can go back and watch 300 all day, every day. I love that film. So nice list, Andres. All right, Rufino Salazar Jr. writes, I wanted to say congrats to Erin for her show. Hello to Rob and Chris, and give credit to John for the plug for Colon Blow. I've never felt so clean. All right, now I got to pull this up if I can find it here. And there it is. So I was at Universal Studios City Walk last night and came across this glorious cereal box of Colon Blow. And for those of you, and I don't know why you would, I hadn't thought about this in a while. It is one of the greatest SNL fake commercials of all time. And who did the voice of Troy McClure on The Simpsons? He was the SNL cast member. Phil
Hartman?
No, yes, Phil Hartman.
Yeah.
So Phil Hartman was, how many bowls of your cereal do you think you need to eat to get the equivalent fiber as one bowl of Colon Blow? 3 bowls? Nope. 5 bowls? Not even close. You would need to eat 500 bowls of your regular cereal, Colon Blow. And it went on, and I couldn't believe it. I was in there last night, and I saw this. I'm like, oh my God. And I took a picture of it, and I put up on my Instagram. So that is what Rufino is talking about. It is... If you go find that old SNL skit, Colon Blow, it's one of the funniest things they've ever did. So I'm glad you brought that up, Rufino. Thank you so much. All right, Min Tran writes, Robert, what's your opinion about Teen Titans Season 2?
Haven't seen Teen Titans Season 2 yet. Haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to. I gave the first season a shot all the way through. I wasn't happy with it.
I love the Titans so much. I just have to watch and see what they're doing.
You've got a pre-existing love for that stuff. That's
yeah.
true. All right, Dark Jedi writes, my son is due November 1st. Congratulations, dude. I prepaid Disney Plus for 3 years for $141. In 10 years, who do you see as being more relevant? Netflix, Disney, or another streaming service? Well, here's the thing. In this entertainment space, and right now we are in an evolving technology. This is a morphing space. Every day something is different is happening with it. 10 years, you might as well say, what streaming service will be the most dominant when the sun goes out? I mean, really, 10 years in this space is an eternity away. Mm-hmm. The question is, what's going to be the dominant thing in 2 years? I mean, that's really, like, where is it in 2 years? It really will all depend on what Netflix wants to do. Look, when Apple Plus and Disney Plus and all this stuff comes out, a lot of people are forgetting Netflix is still going to be the number one guy in the yard by a mile. By a mile, it's still going to be the number one guy in the yard. I think this will all depend on how does Netflix react to the new environment. It's going to be all about that. We know what Disney's going to do. We already know how Apple's going to handle itself. The question is going to become, as the starting off big kid in the yard, how will Netflix adapt to the new environment that they're in that they've never been in before? Real streaming competition. And that'll be it. And so, you know what? I'm going to say 2 years from now, I still think Netflix is probably the big dog in the yard. I think they're still the number one. But they've got to make some changes. And we've talked a little bit about that, Rob. So where do you see things being in 2 years?
What, 2 years?
Yeah.
Look, Netflix, I think, is still going to be dominant. You know, Disney. The thing about Disney Plus is it's new. You know, people are going to jump on board, but with their programming, I think they've got a big leg up, but they're not going to catch Netflix. I think Amazon is going to be there. I think Amazon and Netflix is going to be number one. Amazon's going to be number two, and everyone else is going to be. We'll see what happens with Apple, and we'll see what happens with Disney. But I think Disney's definitely going to get up there because, like our viewer just pointed out, his son's going to be here November 1st, or son or daughter, I don't know which, but that's what every parent is going to get Disney Plus.
Yeah,
you've got every parent
list of what
because
they got.
you know it's safe. A parent knows that when they get Disney Plus, there's going to be nothing objectionable that their kids are going to be able to find. It is a hassle-free. It will be a risk-free thing for every parent, and everything that every kid could possibly want is right there. And I think that's their real ace in the hole.
All right, we move on here. Ben Ellman writes, I saw Ad Astra. I really liked it, but I can see where people thought it was boring. The monologues were the worst, but I still was able to enjoy it. Again, it is one of those movies that I was super excited about, and it's got deep themes. It asks great questions. It has huge stakes, and yet was completely dull and boring to me. You know, sometimes a movie can have all the right pieces of the puzzle, but they just didn't put it together properly. And to me, that's what Ad Astra is. So because all those right pieces there, I can totally get why people really enjoy this film. I can see that. But for me, it was just done in such a dull, boring way. I just had a hard time getting through it. Right, I don't think you've had a chance to see Ad Astra.
Oh, yes, I have.
Oh, you did? What did you think about it?
I was crushed by it, to be honest. I thought it was all over the place. I thought the science really bothered me. I mean, there was so many implausible things. I'm like, come on. Basic things that are just not, it's not how those things work. And I'm like, why can't you make it a little bit more respectful of what would actually happen if you're traveling in space? But it wasn't so much, I understand, it was more of a meditation on other things, and it wasn't necessarily about space travel. But I also thought, like, those action scenes, as much as I enjoyed the scene with the space pirates on the moon, I thought, well, how are they going to set up these space pirates? Like, where are they going to come from? Why are there space pirates in the movie? I don't know. You know, I mean, it's just this random action scene that was put in the movie.
Wait, why are we being chased? Because space pirates.
Because I'm like, wait a minute, what?
How are there space pirates?
And why
on
are
the
they
moon?
chasing us? I mean, it was just so weird. How do they know where we were going? It was just, the whole thing was really bizarre.
But again, I look at this movie, Rob, and I see why. Yeah, I could see how this would appeal to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I do. It's just that I was so bored through it. Like, it took. Anyway, I don't want to go into too much. We got some more questions. I want to get through a couple more while you're still here, buddy. All right. Next one up, we got Phil Carbon writes, "Hi, John. So what happened to Lady Sif in the MCU? That's a big question. I mean, they never say." She didn't die in the events of Ragnarok, so she's not dead. We don't know whether she snapped or not, and it's irrelevant if she did because she'd be back anyway. What happened to Lady Sif is she got her own successful TV show that ran for 4 or 5 seasons, and that kind of took her away with, I think it was called Blind Spot, was the name of the show for Jamie Alexander. I don't know. And then, of course, she popped up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So she did pop up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but honestly, I don't know. I don't know if they have any plans to bring her back or not. I would love to see her back, though. I love the character. All right, Matthew Grant writes, one of two. You guys disappointed me yesterday. I looked up to you guys, especially you, Rob.
I know.
Night on Bald Mountain is not the Sorcerer's Apprentice. It's the segment of the giant demon on top of the mountain.
I know.
And raises the dead spirits from the town below for a night of demonic fiery dance.
I actually have to say, John, I thought about this when I was going home yesterday, and I was holding my head in shame. You know, that same movie though. Come on, I knew exactly what I was talking about. I don't know why. It was a brain fart. I was conflating 2 segments of Fantasia. And the Night on Bald Mountain sequence is my favorite sequence in Fantasia, and yes, that's what I was doing. And I don't know why I did that. I first of all, thank you for pointing that out, and I do hold my head in shame.
I didn't even remember the reference at all, so don't feel so bad about it.
It was bad.
All right, Matthew Grant writes, I still love you guys, though. Well, thank you, Matthew. We still love you, too, buddy.
You know what? I appreciate the fact that we have viewers that keep us honest.
Oh, and do so in a nice way. Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So thank you for that. But yes, I was hoping nobody would call me on that, but I feel guilty. I'm guilty.
All right, Tristan Larson writes, I won a competition to see the premiere of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia season 14 at the Chinese Theater tonight. On my way to Hollywood now. That's fun. Look, I'm not a viewer of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but holy crap. If I won something that said, come and be the first person to watch an in-theater premiere of the final season of Supernatural, I'd be losing my mind. I think that would be so exciting. Tristan, I hope and you get to do it in the Chinese theater, which is extra exciting. I hope you have a great time, Tristan. All right, Devilman writes, people remember evil long after they're forgotten. Journeyman, one of my favorite Westerns. I don't even recognize the line. I don't remember the line. I mean, I know the film, but I don't recognize the line. Interesting. All right. But hey, Devilman, thank you for putting quotes around it, though, because we knew exactly what it was. All right, Kevin Lewis writes, start a poll. She-Hulk stay powered or transform? That's been a question I've been having that I'm wondering about what they're going to do. Are they going to do She-Hulk in this show where she's always in Hulk form, which will be expensive, Or will they go the Dr. Banner route and have her transform from human to Hulk now and again? So what way do you think they're going to go?
As if I was producing the show, I would probably go the Gamora route, where you have an actress that's in makeup most of the time. I mean, it's still a long makeup process. She could be green, but when she hulks out, maybe enhance it with computer technology, because that way she can always be green. I think that would be the best way to go, because otherwise, like you said, it's going to be really expensive. Or, they could go the regular Bill Bixby Hulk. I mean, they're not going to have like Lou Ferrigno come in and play She-Hulk. No, but they'll. But
here's the advantage. This is why the advantage of going that route of having regular most of the time and then she hulks on something else is that that really broadens your pool of what kind of actress you can get.
Yeah.
Because if you go the Hulk thing where she's always green, you have to get an actress that is in supreme physical condition.
Right.
And so you're limiting yourself a little bit. Whereas if she's normal half the time, then turns in, then you can get anybody. You can get any top-notch talented actress. I think they'll be budget conscious. I know they're saying they're putting in big budgets into these shows, and I believe them. But if you can do it in a way that saves money without compromising your vision, why not? So I think they're going to do the switch route.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's going to be some kind of an Ally McBeal-esque type show anyway,
So I said the exact same thing I swear to God, I said that on the show over the weekend. I said, I think they're going to do like an Ally McBeal sort of feel.
It's because that's what I would expect.
And what I hope for. That sounds awesome to me.
I know. I'm like, okay, because they're with the WandaVision being some weird sitcom thing, and they're doing, like they've said in the movies, they're doing these different genres. So with these streaming shows, they can really do things differently, yet still familiar. I'm really excited.
All right, just a couple quick more here, then we'll let Rob get out of here. This one comes to us from Darren TB100. Just back from Rome with my daughter. That's awesome. I'm Italian and I've never been to Rome. Absolutely amazing city, especially the gelato. It is that good. That's what my wife says too. She's been there several times. Now, the Coliseum is truly jaw-dropping. Had to rewatch Gladiator on my return. Strength and honor. I kid you not. I have gone away and gone to places where like the place either was where they did a certain movie or reminded me of a certain movie, and I instantly came home and have to watch a movie with that. Like I remember when I was when I vacationed on the East Coast and we were out on the ocean, I chartered a deep sea fishing boat. I didn't charter it. It was a charter and you could just go on it, me and like 15 other people. Went deep sea fishing. All I thought about was Jaws. And I remember, like, the next week when I got home, I watched Jaws. Just think about it. Do you ever have experiences like that, Rob?
Yeah. I mean, you got to go. Yes. And I think that's part of the fun of being a movie fan. Whenever you go to places, like in real life, they Halloween. I live in Pasadena. They have an event, to celebrate where the Michael Myers house is, and I love stuff like that. And I've never been to Rome either. And the first place I would go is the Coliseum, and I love Gladiator. One of my most eagerly awaited 6-scale figures. I thought it was going to come out this year, probably won't. Is the Spaniard figure that Big Chief Studios is making. But man, yes, I would have to watch Gladiator after seeing the
little jealous of you, dude. Little jealous of you just got back from Rome. That's awesome. All right, James Lockman writes. One of two. John, my friend, I have some bad news. I did not win the baking cookies with Jennifer Gardner charity auction. Sorry about that. The good thing is my money will go to help somebody in need. And today is also my birthday. As a gift to myself, I bought the new iPhone 11 Pro Max, and I'm going to order the Sideshow Collectibles Darth Maul on his speeder bike.
That is a hot toy figure. That is one of their DX lines. And dude, bruh. That stuff is amazing. Oh, that's a great figure.
First of all, so for those of you who don't know what James is talking about, a while ago, there was this, I think it was Omaze that did it. There's all these charity things that you could win an afternoon with Jennifer Garner, who right now is like for the past, I think 8 or 9 years has been my big celebrity crush is Jennifer Garner. Like she's my hall pass. I mean, for sure it's Jennifer Garner. That I would do like just have a conversation with that one. She's incredible. And I have met her. But anyway, so James said that he was going to enter that contest for me. And if he won, he was going to give me the win so I could go, which is awesome. But Rob, last night, Ann and I went to Universal City Walk to go have dinner. And whenever we go there, we always step into Things from Another World. I think is the name of the place. it was on display, the Wakandan throne with the hot toy Shuri sitting in the throne. And I looked at that and thought, oh my God, if Rob were here. You have it already, don't you? You have it already.
Oh, yes. And by the way,
you have it
Shuri is sitting in my Wakandan throne.
You have her in the throne.
Oh, yes, I do. You know why? Because I'll tell you why.
Because she's awesome.
Because I read someplace that Black Panther's costume can break if it's sitting in the Wakandan throne for too long. So I've actually got Black Panther I got the Chad Boseman head. I've got Black Panther holding his helmet. And then I have Shuri kind of leaned over with the pike that she comes with, the spear.
Right.
I was going to have one of her weapons, like she's leaning with one of her weapons, but instead, although she's so small that her feet don't touch the ground when she's sitting in the throne. So I had her legs crossed.
I can't remember if she had her
Dude,
feet.
it's so funny that they did that because you get this Shuri figure and you're like, what are you going to do with this? And I'm like, she should be sitting on my Wakandan throne. So I did that. That's so funny. I think anybody that has that, well, first of all, buying Hot Toys, for those of you who don't know, they made a Wakandan throne. It's $100 and that's all it is. You just get the chair. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't light up.
It's just a throne.
It's just a throne.
But it does look really good.
It's really good. But let's like, and me with my chair fetish, my action figure chair fetish.
Everything with you's got to have the chair.
Somebody's like, Burnett will buy this. Let's make a Wakandan throne.
We'll make at least one sale.
I mean, it's so funny. I think, you know, people often ask me, I've gotten questions about like racial issues with action figures. And I was thinking to myself, I'm a middle-aged dude that just bought a black woman action figure who's in her mid-20s, who's hot. So that's a little weird in itself. And then I got to put her in my throne because where should she be? Shuri should be sitting on that Wakandan throne. And I'm like, that's why I became old. I became old so I can make these choices in my life and nobody can tell me any different.
God bless.
So if I want to buy an action figure of a young black woman in her prime, in her 20s, and put her on my Wakandan throne, I don't have to apologize to anybody. It's not weird and creepy.
Because you're a grown-ass man.
I'm a grown-ass man.
Well, hey, listen, speaking of grown-ass man, you got grown-ass man things that I know you got to run and do.
Yeah, I'm
so
going to go play
Rob,
with my Shuri action figure.
So listen, dude, seriously, always awesome having you here. Where can people find you online?
Well, you can find me online on Twitter at BurnettRM, find me on Instagram at RMBurnett, or find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnett Work, or the website, theburnettwork.net.
All right, dude. Thanks a lot for being here again, Rob, and we'll see you again on Friday, I believe.
Let me take a picture and send it to you of Shuri and my...
Oh, I want to see it. I want to see it now that I was there. All right, guys, listen, we still got about a half hour here, so let's keep things rolling. James Lockman follows up and writes, I watched Peppermint, love that movie, and it was a lot of fun. Jennifer Garner is such a good action star. I don't think we get to see enough of her in movies, so I'm hoping this role leads to more sequels. Unfortunately, Peppermint didn't do great at the box office, and it is legit a female John Wick movie. She's great in it. She's been great in action ever since back in the Alias days. She totally sold me on all the action as a complete badass. I loved Peppermint. Is it a great theatrical film? No, but then again, neither's John Wick to some level, but it was immensely entertaining. I loved it, and I'm glad you did too, James. All right, James also writes, John, I have a really great PS4 recommendation. It's called Nai no Kuni, The Wrath of the White Witch. It's an RPG from Studio Ghibli. The story and graphics are amazing. Looks like an actual cartoon. I'm going to have to check it out because a bunch of you guys recommended to me the game. I think it's called Until Dawn. So I am going to get that game this week and try it out on my PS4 here. It's my last-ditch effort to not throw my PS4 Pro out the window, but I'm going to give that a shot. But that sounds interesting as well, so I'll keep my eyes open for that one as well, James. Thanks for the recommendation. Sky Amazing Guy writes, John, when are you seeing Joker? I just bought my tickets. I'm not going to go to the press screening. I'm going to go October 3rd, 4 p.m., AMC Burbank 16. Me, Rob, Aaron, Chris, Ann, we're all going. We're all going to go 4 p.m., on October 3rd is when we're going to go see it. I'm very stoked about it. Cannot wait. Angel Palma writes, is a 4K GoPro a good camera to start doing YouTube? I'll tell you what, I have never used a GoPro. Not because they suck. I have no idea. I've just never used one. So I would look up some YouTube videos on that to get some ideas. Look, right now, I mean, hell, your phone. Right now, most phones have great cameras. I mean, that's an option as well. But a GoPro is an option. Again, I just can't speak to the quality because I've never used one before. So take that with a grain of salt. All right, Mike Jones writes, fans may lose it when they find out Harvey Dent is also black. If Gotham is a crime city, it had a lot of white flight because they have the money to leave town. I'm not even going to comment on that, Mike. I'm not even going to comment on that. Ryan Lohner writes, The West Wing is now, oh my God, 20 years old. Maybe some more cast members can help out Zoe and Josh and Gilead. So yeah, we've noticed some crossover, of course, between Handmaid's Tale and West Wing. West Wing was so good. That show was so good. I told the story the other day, but I got sick for a while, a couple years ago, and I was off for like a couple weeks. And I said, well, everybody's always talking about West Wing. I watched the entire series in like 2 weeks. Entire series in 2 weeks. It was crazy. I just couldn't stop watching it. It was so good. I just could not stop watching it. Unbelievable. It's 20 years old now. All right. Willow Yang writes, does Anne plan on rewatching Downton Abbey as you... and do you think the movie will have legs? Well, Anne just got her tickets to go see it again tomorrow. So Anne is going to go see it tomorrow. She's got one of her workmates going with her. Yeah. I mean, look, it's not like it's $100 million movie. It opened to $31 million, which is huge for a movie like that. So it'll have legs as far as that goes. You know, it'll drop to about 14 million next weekend. But for a movie like this, yeah, in its realm, yeah, I think it'll have legs. It's a pretty good movie. Look, I'm not a tea timer, but I liked the movie. I thought it was pretty good. Let's see. Brandon Blake writes, reverse of Christian Bale, saw an interview with Peter Dinklage. He's from New Jersey, not British. Crazy. I know, it's right. So like, it's totally true, Brandon, because you see Christian Bale and then you hear him doing an interview. And normally when we see Christian Bale, he's like doing American accents, but then you see an interview with him, it's like, holy crap, his accent, like it just throws you off. Peter Dinklage, we always expect him to speak like Tyrion. We expect him to hear the, I drink and I know things. We expect to hear that, right? But he's in, by the way, speaking of Between Two Ferns, he's in Between Two Ferns. But then when you hear him just talk, you're like, wait a minute, what? It is kind of the reverse Christian Bale. You're right about that, Brandon. All right. Seal to Deal writes, since Jeffrey Wright is playing James Gordon, does this mean that the Batman has no connection to the DCU? We already had J.K. Simmons in the role. Again, that we talked about that a little bit earlier. It looks like it. Yeah. I mean, look, there is still the possibility. That what they may do here is just say, we're just really wiping the slate clean and we're saying this is still the DCEU, but this is a different Batman and a different Gordon and a different all this kind of stuff, and you just got to accept that this is what Batman is in our DCU now, and you need to just forget about the Ben Affleck. There is a possibility they're doing that. But I tend to agree with Rob. To me, it feels like this, they're creating Batman in his own pocket universe. That, like the Christopher Nolan movies, again, we don't know this for sure. I'm just saying it seems to make sense that they're going the Christopher Nolan route and just having Batman in his own world. These are Batman movies in a Batman world where nothing else is. It's just Batman. And it kind of looks that way. We don't know that, and we won't know for sure for a little while, but it does seal the deal. It does seem to be pointing in that direction. Carlos Herrera writes, could Falling Down have been a Joker story? Oh, we talked about that before. That basically this feels like Falling Down. It feels just like Falling Down. So, I mean, yeah, absolutely. It could totally be that. Absolutely, Carlos. The Nerdy Hatter writes, sad to learn that Matt Reeves' film isn't in the DCU. Remember, we don't know that 100% for sure. But my happiness is immeasurable because I got my tickets for my screening of The Shining 4K remastered at AMC this Thursday. It is always awesome, Nerdy Hatter. Well, first of all, again, we don't know for sure that it's not in the DCU. We don't know for sure. It does seem that way, though. That is the operating assumption I'm going on right now, is that it's not. But, you know, if you're really hoping it is in the DCEU, hold out hope that it could possibly still be. And I'm fine if it's not in the DCU. I'm perfectly fine. But it's always cool when you get to go see these classic movies, Nerdy Hatter, on the big screen, especially a remaster or something like that. That's an awesome opportunity. I hope you have a great time, dude. All right, Jason O'Connor writes, Joaquin walking out of that interview, your thoughts? Nothing. Look, if an interviewer asks a dumb question, I have no problem with somebody being interviewed, getting up and walking out. Look, you are there as a courtesy. The actors are there as a courtesy. And if for whatever reason they feel that the interviewer is going down either a stupid line of questioning or a disrespectful line of questioning or whatever, I have no problem with somebody ending the interview and walking out. I got no problem with it. Brianna Trishita writes, Brad Pitt says he will not be campaigning for the Oscars. Do you think this will hurt his chances of winning against others that will campaign? No, I don't. I don't think it's going to hurt his chances at all. Because they all saw it. He doesn't have to campaign. People saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. All the Academy saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Because the one thing Hollywood loves is movies about Hollywood. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But Hollywood loves movies about Hollywood. They all saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So he doesn't have to campaign. And so I don't think that improves or hurts his chances at all. He's either going to win or he's not. He's going to get the nomination or he won't. But I honestly don't think him not campaigning is either going to hurt or help his chances because they all saw it. All right. Murray Reich writes, by the way, did I miss one? No, here we go. Murray Reich writes, I lost the ring. Forget the ring. The ring is Bubkiss. I found it in a Cracker Jack box. Okay. Once again, everybody, remember, if you're going to quote a movie, and clearly Murray, that is Spaceballs. That is Yogurt. The name, the character, Yogurt. That's his line. But remember, guys, if you're going to send in a quote, please put it in quotes, just so it's clear to everybody what it is you're doing. But always love a good Spaceball reference, Murray. Always love a good Spaceball reference. Megalo John writes, man, I can't wait to see Antonio Brown play his second game for the New England Patriots. Oh, wait, where did he go? Your prediction was too generous. So, look, for those of you who don't know what Megalo John is talking about, I am a big Patriots fan. I have been since the days of Bill Parcells being a coach there. I hated that they signed Antonio Brown. I hated that they signed that classless clown. I hated it. And I said, when they signed him, mark my words, he will not be there by week 4. He'll be gone by week 4. And it'll either be because Bill Belichick, Darth Belichick, the coach of the Patriots, he's a taskmaster. He accepts no nonsense. None. You play on his team, you get the F in line. And I said, it'll either be Antonio Brown will be begging to get out because he can't handle that, or they'll get rid of him because Bill Belichick is a F you, where I'm a no-nonsense guy. Get out. Like, if you're not going to play by my rules and do things right and do it the right way, blah, get out. He lasted 1 week. 1 week. And look, I'm not denying the dude's talent. But he's a classless clown, and I was so glad to see that they got rid of him. Oh, so glad. All right, Marcos Funes writes, Uncut Gems trailer finally dropped. I know the trailer dropped, but I haven't had a chance to watch it. That's the new Adam Sandler movie. What did you think? I'm a fan of Sandler's dramatic roles, and this one has me very curious. Plus, it's A24. Listen, I've been saying for years, ever since that movie that he should have gotten an Academy Award nomination for, in my opinion, Reign Over Me. That was the first film I saw Adam Sandler do that was a dramatic role, and I thought he should have got an Academy Award nomination. Not win, but I thought he should have gotten a nomination for it. And I honestly, ever since then, I've been like, look, Adam, your comedies suck now. Sorry, but your comedies suck now. But you are you've got such natural dramatic acting chops. Do more drama. So I'm very, very curious about this. So I haven't seen the trailer yet myself, but I am very, very curious about it. All right, Max Gomez writes, hey, John and crew, if you haven't already, check out Dark on Netflix. Such a great German show. I'm sure you would all love it. Goes into time travel and more. Yeah, I'm not big on time travel, but you're not the first person, Max, to suggest Dark. I've had a number of other people recommend it to me as well, and I've got it on... what do you call that thing when you... Anyway, I've got it saved. I am going to go check that out at some point because I've had a number of you guys tell me. Now, I've got a number of shows I need to get to first, so I'm not about to watch it immediately, but I'm going to get around to that because I've heard a lot of really, really good things about it. So thank you for adding your voice to that, Max. All right. Vlad Momot writes, saw The Mystery of The Dragon Seal, Jay Fleming, Jay Chan, Schwarzenegger in a low-budget action film produced by Russian Mayo brand and China government. The Mystery of the Dragon Seal. Vlad goes on to write, a terrible movie, but Arnie versus Jackie fight scene. I will tell you straight up, I have never even heard of this. I have no idea what we're talking about. I have never even heard of this. The Mystery of the Dragons. Hold a second. Now I got to look this crap up. Hold a second. Let's see. Mystery of the Dragon. Mystery of the Dragon Seal. It's not coming up on IMDb. Hold a second. Let me look up Arnold. Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't mean to waste time here, guys. I'm just very, very curious about this. I'm not seeing it anywhere. Is it so under the radar that it's not even on his IMDb page? Anyway, I can't find it anywhere. Are you sure you saw the right thing? Anyway, Vlad also writes, it's called Journey to China in English. Oh, okay. Journey to China. Okay. There we go. Journey to China, The Mystery of Iron Mask. I've also never heard of this. It looks like it's in Russian. At least the thing is in Russian. Jackie Chan, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Rutger Hauer was in it before he passed away. Charles Dance from Game of Thrones is in it. I've never even heard of this. I've never even heard of it. I will keep my eyes open for it, though, Vlad. Thanks for putting it on my radar. Iggy Riaz writes, alert, AMC this Thursday showing Shiny 4K. Bunch of people already talked about it. I might go see that, actually. I think I might have to go see that. I'll see if it's playing in my AMC, but if it is, I'm probably going to have to go see that. Let's see here. Right. Suthius writes. Oh, no, here we go. Not Suthius. Big Irv Express writes, praying Apple or Amazon will Sony. Praying Apple or Amazon will Sony. Are you saying you're praying Apple or Amazon will buy Sony? I certainly hope not. Sony's been doing some really good things lately. Ever since they did their big leadership restructure a couple of years ago, they got a new CEO and all that kind of stuff. They've been doing some good things. So and by the way, nothing, there are these reports running around. Don't pay any attention to them. Sony's not for sale. The CEO of Sony has already flatly said he is fully behind their entertainment division. He believes their future lies in their entertainment division. Sony's not going anywhere, so don't worry about it. And I wouldn't want it to happen. Sony's just been doing too many good things. So yeah, anyway. Suthius writes, hey guys, this is why I'm always sharing trailers for shows/movies on my Facebook to my friends, regardless of genre or subject. Most are for Netflix content. And that's what it's going to take, Suthius. It feels like Netflix needs us to do their job for them. And that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. It really does feel like Netflix needs us to do their job for them. But good on you for being a good friend and being a good fan and spreading the news of good-looking content. That's always good. And more of, I should probably do more of that myself, Suthius. I need to follow your example, I think. Aaron McDonough writes, hey, John, have you ever watched the Netflix series You? If not, I highly recommend it. I have not, but my wife was addicted to it for a bit. If I'm thinking of the right one, because the one I'm thinking of, let me see if I get it here. I can't even find it. I can't find it on IMDb. Hold on a second. Let me try it again. Here it is. The one I'm thinking, so Anne used to love this show. What was the name of the show now? I think it's called Pretty Little Liars is the name of the show. So is You the one that had the Pretty Little Liars girl on it? Let me just double check. I think it is. Isn't it the show about the guy who's basically the stalker and he starts stalking this girl and it is. Okay, this is the right show because the girl from Pretty Little Liars, I believe, is Shay something or other. Shay Mitchell. That's her name. Beautiful girl, by the way. Shay Mitchell. Absolutely beautiful girl. And she was in Pretty Little Liars, and I believe she's part Filipino, which Anne obviously likes very much because she's Filipino. But Anne was addicted to that show. She loved that show. Now, I have not watched any of it myself, but you are not the first person I know, Aaron, to mention that. All right, Valhalla Erickson writes, can't believe Preacher is coming to an end. I'll tell you what, I'm glad it's coming to an end. I ended up really liking the first season, and I was into season 2, but I'll tell you what, to me, it's a show that lost steam. It really is a show that lost steam to me. And I feel like they're probably ending it at the right time. I'm glad that it's out there. I'm glad it exists. I'm glad I've watched it. But I kind of feel like this is a good time. Because I've felt the momentum running out of the show. At least I have. So I think it's coming to an end at a good time. So Ben Rayner writes, Rosenbaum officially not in crisis. They offered him a lousy deal and he had personal issue going on. Disappointing. But he had personal issue going on. Disappointing, but I understand completely. Oh, that's too bad to hear. See, as soon as they announced that not only was Tom Welling coming back, but Erica Durance was coming, I bought into the idea that, well, we're going to see Michael Rose. So they did make him an offer, and I guess he didn't like the offer. But I mean, what else is Michael doing these days? I mean, I think he's probably got personal business that he does that isn't involve acting, so he's probably busy with that. But I really thought we were going to see him, but I guess we're not. I'll have to look that stuff up myself and see where we're at. All right, final question of the day, guys, comes to us from Connor Farley, who writes, I've heard Ana de Armas is apparently being considered for Catwoman. I mean, I've seen a lot of things around about, I've heard this person is, that person is. Right now, I'm not going to believe anything until I see something in Deadline or Hollywood Reporter or Variety at this point, because I've heard a lot of names, a lot of potential. So I don't know. That's just one of them. I mean, I've heard that name too, but I've heard about 4 or 5 other names. So right now I'm kind of in the dark. But look, if they cast somebody along the caliber of a Jeffrey Wright or a Jonah Hill or a Robert Pattinson, look, right now I'm feeling really damn good about what we're getting from Reeve here. I feel really good what we're getting out of Matt. And we'll just see how this all kind of comes together and coalesces. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, being a part of it. Special thanks, of course, to Chris and to Robert for being here. And a special thank you to all of you guys who sent in all the questions, not only because you gave us great fun things to talk about, but also because you supported the channel along the way while you're doing that. And we thank you for that deeply. Don't forget, guys, the John Campea Show returns again tomorrow. And also for those of you who are Patreon supporters and have already signed up to the Discord server, don't forget in about 15 minutes, we're going to be having our John Campea Show post-show chat. So go on over, you guys can get on over there and start the conversation without me. I'll jump in there in about 15 minutes or so. All right, guys, that will do it for me. Thanks a lot for being here. My name is John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.